Alright, take 3099. So guys, hey, I was just gonna do a quick vid of my Electricians Tools. I've seen a lot of setups on YouTube. I've seen a lot of bags. I've seen very few belts, actually, which is surprising to me because they're a very efficient way to go about it. I've seen a lot of backpacks, and I've tried that setup. To me, that ended up hurting my back because I had literally every tool I owned in one isolated location dragging on my back. And I should say, this is a lot of the stuff I carry. I'm an industrial electrician, so some of my stuff's going to seem a little weird to you guys because I need more tools than, say, a residential guy or a light-duty commercial guy. And like, I have a lot of stuff that's not here. I have full wrench sets, full socket sets of quarter, 3/8, half-inch drive. You know, I don't really like the way this is going. I'm feeling very impersonal. All right, so my name's Tyler. I am an electrician. I'm 21 years old. I'm trying this thing where I make retarded videos on YouTube because I like to watch lots of other guys. So if anyone's curious, that's why I'm doing this. I'm an electrical apprentice. I've been doing it for about 3 years now, professionally, doing commercial. And then last year I actually switched over to, and I moved from Texas to Georgia. A couple years before that I moved from Georgia to Texas, and then I moved back home. When I moved back home, I got with this company that actually does industrial work for a lot of big plants. I know some of you guys don't want to hear this, but for the two of you who do, thank you. I feel cool now. And I've been doing it for a couple years, and I really love it. And I think I have a really awesome tool setup that's a little different from most of you guys. Like I said, I have a lot of other stuff, you know, like right here, I have an insulated ratchet set for when I do switchgear changeouts. In the truck, we have cable cutters, we have ratcheting cable cutters, we have big lopper cable cutters, we have battery cutters, we have battery crimp tools, we have big crimp tools. You know, we have a lot of specialty tools in this industry, and that's one thing I really love about this industry is every day is something different. So I'm the type of guy, I like to be prepared for just about everything I come across on a weekly basis, at least, you know. I try to not have to grab, if I have my goal is to have these two bags, and unless of course I have to do a bigger switch gear or something just off the wall crazy, I don't have to grab anything else out of the truck for a month. That's not always how it goes, but that's how I try to plan it. Like I said, unless we do something really crazy, I usually am pretty set. So even though I'm 2.5 minutes in, let's go ahead and get started. Up in the way this bag's sitting, as you can tell, that's the buckle, so this will be the front of my body, right hand side. Okay, I keep two large flatheads. One is a Milwaukee demolition screwdriver. I bought this one because it's the only one I found that has a steel cap and no continuity to the shaft. They don't make that design anymore. They've actually changed their design to be like everybody else's. So I actually bought a couple spares of these and I gave them to some coworkers. And then I have, this is what I typically use. This is a Klein square shank with no metal cap. That one's just for turning screws. I used to have two of those, and whenever this one dies, I guess that's what I'll buy again, because you can't buy this anymore. Then behind that I have a Klein 1/4 inch. This is for your standard, you know, normal size flatheads. Most of your standard terminations are that size. Your like bigger outside industrial cover plate screws and stuff. This is just for like big connections on a panel or a big throw switch or something, disconnects, fuse disconnects, anything like that. Phillips number 2. This is actually a Weehaw. It's pretty cool. I have a full set of Weehaw screwdrivers, and I really don't love all of them. I've really tried a ton of screwdrivers, and I find I just go back to Kleins. I really like my Kleins. I don't think Kleins are the best. I just personally prefer their grips. My actual favorite are the snap-on hard handles or the Williams, but I just don't like not having a rubber insulation factor. It's something I kind of like. But this is a Weehaw soft finish. I don't like insulated screwdrivers most of the time because some contacts and things you can't get to with an insulated screwdriver. So that's just my personal opinion on the matter. And I have a Wera long. This is like a trim screwdriver. It's like it's the metric equivalent of a 3/16. It's slightly smaller, but it's pretty close. I like this grip a lot on this size. I don't like it on the larger Phillips and things, but I like it on this little small handle a lot. And I find that just works really good to me to have a really long one. I'm just going to start piling all these tools down so I can get the stuff easier and I can tell what I've grabbed and what I haven't. Then I got two nut drivers, 7/16 and 3/8. I have which are mostly the two I really use. Those two, and then like 1/4 and 5/16. And if I'm using those two, I'm using our drill. So I have a drill case with all that kind of crap. This is a number 2 Robertson insulated. I don't actually use this a ton. Mostly it's like Square D who uses this termination in their panels. We don't get a whole lot of the new Square D stuff, and we don't deal with a whole lot of smaller stuff. Like if you're in commercial, when I was in commercial, I used this all the time for terminating panels. Now, I probably haven't touched that in a while. Probably need to take it out of my bag, honestly, and put it somewhere else. But it's like the first real electrical tool I ever bought when I did residential, so it's hard for me to give it up. And it was also like it's a find of like an ancient screwdriver when I started that was brand new. So I had to keep 2 terminal drivers with larger handles. This is a number 1 Phillips. This is a Klein, and this is a 1/8, which is the TB-DIN screwdriver, which is DIN strip terminal blocks. I insulated it, or I didn't insulate it. I put heat shrink tubing on it to identify it as mine, although technically it does keep it from, I do like it because it does keep it from sometimes like certain little contacts that have little problems, like moisture problems in certain factory points. I've had them like arc to my shaft of my screwdriver. That's a little nerve-wracking. And I do have like a really nice Philo insulated one, but I just don't like using it that much. Channel lock 440, and then a Knipex Cobra, the 300 millimeter variety, which is the same thing as a 12-inch variety. I really like both of those. I don't think these are necessarily worlds above these. I think they both have their place, and they both have their uses and their advantages. I keep some tape on the little strap, by the way. I always forget to mention that. I try to keep a short roll, and then a good roll, and then a user roll. It's kind of a weird thing I do, but I like to have multiple tape rolls. If I don't have 3 rolls, I feel really weird. And one of them needs to be like almost empty. One of them needs to be decent. Actually, this one's longer than usual. And then one of them needs to be almost brand new. I keep that one in case I have something I really need it for. I try not to break into that one. These are some 9-inch Klein dikes with a little kick on the end. I really like those. They work really good for me. You get a lot of leverage. They can do a lot of stuff. I keep a Milwaukee insulated 1/4-inch tip. This thing's actually worked out really well. I keep always feeling like I'm going to break it because the tip is like, compared to what I'm used to, which is those Kleins, the tip is really delicate looking. But it works really well, and it hasn't broken so far. Then I keep a pair of Klein. These are the little 6-in ones with the crimper. I don't like springs in my wire strippers. I always take them out. So somebody actually bought me these because they're like, here, dude, you're not going to use a spring anyway. Try these. And I was like, okay. And I've actually really loved them. They've been working out really good. I always buy the same wire strippers, but I might try those from now on. We'll see. It's kind of hard, though, because I do like my old Ideals. It's the only tool I buy from Ideal. And then I have a pair of Klein Linesmans. These are the Journeyman 2000s. These are really old. My uncle actually gave me these as a hand-me-down. He had them for probably 10 years. Now they're probably at least 15 years old. You know, if not, actually probably older than that. But they're a really old pair, and I find that's probably what makes them awesome, because I cannot get these cutters to get a hole in them. I've had these things for forever, and they just still work awesome. Like I said, I've had them for probably 5 years, and who knows, he told me he had them for at least 10 before that. Then I have a pair of little Klein, these are Klein rebranded NWS little mini channel locks. Then on the other side of the bag, this is a Gatorback Pro pouch, by the way. I just changed this. I've actually been using that pouch setup for a long time, and the belt doesn't support enough, and the bags are starting to tear up. The belt's destroyed, so I decided to go get a pair of Gatorbacks. I really like these. I've had a couple coworkers have these. These are the Klein conduit reamer, which also has the old school screwdriver handle, so I really like that. A Klein razor knife. I really like this one because it stores all the extra blades, and if you push that button and pull the blade out, you just rack it back and rack it forward, and bam, you got a new blade. So that's pretty cool. A set of 1/4-inch drive SAE sockets, or Imperial sockets. A 1/4 drive Matco long 1/4 drive with a 3/8 Pittsburgh deep socket. A little Empire level. A Matco little basic 3/8 ratchet with a 1-inch socket for running a hand knockout. A shark saw rock eater. It's my favorite little jab saw. I've had a couple others, but these are the favorite ones I've used. This is actually a newer, upgraded design. We'll see how it does. So apparently these things used to be made in Japan, now they're made in like China, so we'll see how it does, but so far it's been alright. A Sharpie king size, a set of SAE Allen sockets. This is my preferred way to do most terminations that I run into. Usually this is full of wire nuts, however right now I don't have any because I just traded over this pouch and I didn't bother grabbing a big handful from the shop. And then I keep some whatever fittings I'm working with right now. I just have a couple 3/4 couplings in there. And then I keep a Sharpie in the top of this little red ink saw Milwaukee. And then I also have a bag that holds all my other stuff, mostly like specialty tools and things. We'll go to that side last. That's the more exciting side, I think. This is a little cheap half-round file. I have a Klein little stubby flathead, a S-Wing 12-ounce hammer. I really like this guy. It's good to just keep you from beating on, instead of beating on your tools, you know, you have something that's actually meant to beat on things. It's kind of nice to have, and it doesn't weigh. It isn't like a toting a full-size hammer, which kind of drags you down. You know, I've got bigger hammers, framing hammers and things on my truck, but I don't really like toting those around. Little Night Eyes holster for a flashlight. Over here I just got another little cheapy. I really don't even know what brand this is, but it's always worked for what I need a stubby Phillips for. Back when I did commercial, that was like can lights and things. And this is the main tool side of the Veto. I keep a Klein 11-in-1. I try to keep this bag set up with mostly specialty stuff, and then enough stuff that if this whole setup ever goes down or gets stolen or goes missing, I could get through a day with just this bag if I really had to. I keep some wrenches, just the most common ones. I have full sets in the truck, but I keep some of the most common ones here. In my industry, we use a lot of heavy-duty hardware that requires an 11/16. What an 11/16 is, a 9/16 is your standard 3/8 nut. Well, if you run into a heavy-duty, it's actually an 11/16. And then I keep a 3/4 for 1/2-inch bolts that go to a switch gear. That's the most common one. Down here I keep a set of security bits that are just Harbor Freight security bits. I don't really find I use security bits enough to justify that. And then a handful of other just regular little bits that go to this right here, which is a 1/4 drive ratchet. Like you can see, this is my extensions. Well, this takes that and converts it to a bit holder, which is pretty cool. So you can use that for like a stubby. Set of aviation snips. These are Milwaukee's. These are actually the offset straight snips. And I really like the cut on these, but the handle sucks, and eventually I'm going to replace these things. I just haven't found anything I really like yet. This is a Weehaw number 3 Phillips insulated. That's pretty cool. Use it for mostly just 1/4 20. Honestly, I use it 9 times out of 10 for 1/4 20 bolts. But every now and again for something serious. There's a few breakers. There's a few, very few breakers we have that actually have a number 3 Phillips hookup in them. This is a snap-on FLHDF, I want to say, or FLF. Alright, hang on. FHLF D80, which is the red hard handle, snap-on, long 3/8 flex head. I have mine tightened down real tight because most of the time I'm using it in a switch gear. That's what's on it right now, is a 3/4 for a switch gear. Like I said, most of this stuff, I have full sets, but I don't like to keep all that in this bags. Klein Tools K36, which is a screw holding screwdriver. Basically you push this up and it changes the thickness of the head. It's kind of hard to tell. So you guys have probably seen these. It's really like an old timer tool that I don't see around any of the younger guys, but every now and again things come into handy. Another old timer tool you don't see most young guys with is a triple tap. There's a little Klein triple tap for 32 thread, so it's 632, 832, and 1032. It actually saves my butt a couple times. I actually did a control cabinet the other day, and I used this to thread a hole for a stylus. It was actually a metric hole, probably stylus, but I just changed it out to a 832 screw and just threaded out the hole. Saved our butts. They were thinking they were gonna have to like figure something. They were worrying like, oh, we're gonna have to drill a hole and put a bolt on the back and all this stuff. I was like, no, man, I got you. Malco Connex with a little bit adapter for all those security bits. I use that together with all those security bits so I can get into all the things you may or may not supposed to be able to get into. A little Pittsburgh Pro roto head ratchet. Just to have a spare. Sometimes it's nice to have a little roto head. Quarter drive metric set. It goes from 15 millimeter down to, I think, 4 millimeter. Yeah, 4 to 15 millimeter. No skips. That was just a good cheap set. Gear wrench. I got both of these. Both of my sockets as a gear wrench. That was pretty good. A little set. These are actually the strippers I usually go to. These are the Ideal Reflex T strippers, and I just snatch the spring out when I first get them, break the latch off, and that's how I like them. I know a lot of people are going to disagree with that. They're going to wonder, like, why'd you do that? I personally like having control over my tools. It's a good practice, and I'm just used to it. I mean, every other tool, that's how I'm running it. Okay. Then I have a pair of... Sorry, I gotta switch hands here, man. I'm getting tired of working on that thing. You guys are going to have to deal with, like, my nasty-ass work hands. I just got off today and decided to go ahead and shoot this. These are the Klein 911 cable cutter, or actually 911 is the channel lock, doesn't it? The Klein cable cuts, rabbit ears, whatever you're gonna call them. These are an older pair, but they're not totally dead yet, so I'm still using them. And then probably the thing everybody else thinks I should be using, but I really haven't been. I like these, so don't get me wrong, but I'm not like impressed where I thought they were gonna be like just blow Kleins out of the water, and really I still like my Kleins better. And I've tried all the different grips of these, and these are the ones I like the best. Like if I had to go buy another pair of Kleins, they'd be dip grips. But I just don't find I like the head design quite as much as the Kleins. These are Knipex linesmans, and they cut awesome. I mean, they really are. These are just awesome. And when my Kleins die, these are gonna be the pair I use all the time. But till that day, I think I'm still a Klein guy. I like to have 10s every now and again for certain tasks we do. So a pair of 430 channel locks and a pair of the 10-inch Cobras. These things are almost like brand new. Oh, I gave away, I had an older pair, but I gave them to a new apprentice we have at the shop. So, yep. And then speaking of Knipex, since everybody loves Knipex, you know, everybody thinks you're not a real guy. You don't know about it unless you got some Knipex in your life. These are the Knipex mini bolt cutters. These are pretty cool. Every now and again they come in handy for different stuff. Just sort of weird task I wouldn't really think of, and then I'm like, you know, when you're starting to question like, well, what am I gonna do? And then you're like, oh wait, I got these little mini bolt cutters. And then another thing I like to have just a spare of, maybe just harkening back to my days as a residential electrician, but a little spare 3/16. Honestly, a 3/16 and a pair of Kleins, and you can get through 90% of a house. So we'll turn the bag over. I'm just gonna look in here real quick and make sure I didn't forget anything that just kind of fell into the bottom. Nope, I don't feel anything. Alright, this is the more technical side. This is really what I use the bag for, which is all the specialty kind of stuff. And pretty much the biggest reason I have this bag overall is to be a glorified case for that right there. That is my Fluke. Like I said, my name's Tyler, so you guys can kind of tell. Yeah, this is the dumb things you do when you're a 21-year-old little smart ass jackass. Put a little smiley face on it. And when you guys are going to realize how awesome that is. I'm going to make you wait for that though, because I think everybody should. Yeah, that's just like my pride item, and when everybody's like happy. Set of metric Allen keys. These are just Huskies. Mostly I just use 3mm and 8mm. A lot of the machines have those size Allen screws. Pair of Klein crimps. I just got these for Christmas actually. I had a pair of South wires that I've just never been happy with, and so Mom actually got me these. So thanks, Mom. I know that sounds like really stupid, but yeah, that's actually what happened. Speaking of Christmas, I also got these for Christmas. I also had just a cheap pair of these. My mom also got me these. So she got me 2 crimp tools for Christmas. This is a crimp tool for RJ45s. Cat 5 crimp tool, you know, standard RJ45. 8-paired, 6-paired connector. Pretty cool. Patent. Alright, so you got patent Taiwan, USA, and China. It's actually made in China for people who don't know. I really like the grips on these, and it works really good. It's just the one everybody always has to. I also have a nice little Klein punch down tool, a little impact punch down tool. Works pretty good. I mean, all I ever use is a 110 and the 66, so. I lost the other blade, but I have a 110 and a 66. That's all I need. Anyway, big old Klein 1/2-inch Allen. If you run into some big disconnects and things, they'll have a 1/2-inch Allen on them. And I use this just for the moment, and then I'll go get the big Allen sets out of the truck that go to my socket wrench, and I'll use those. I have a pair of Ideal. Again, I took the spring out because that's just the kind of guy I am. These are like foam gauge strippers from like 22 to 30. Every now and again you run into certain little controls we have that we work on that use these, so I keep those around. Then I have a set of the normal Klein Allen keys. There should be a smaller set in here too. Might have lost those. I need to sort out where I put those. Anyway, actually, I'm looking, like, seriously, because I use those all the time, so I need to figure out where those are or go buy another one. Alright, but anyway, the main attraction of this bag, this is my Fluke tester. I got a set of, sorry guys, these are the long alligator leads. I really like these. These are good for when you're testing certain control cabinets and stuff. You just kind of clamp on there and it just holds real tight. Nice wide opening. These are like the syringe style, I like those. I have a set of leads dedicated to those instead of like the screw-on ones, because they don't make this style in a screw-on, and I really like that style. I'll go to the meter itself last. And I also have, because like I said, I work industrial, we have some really huge switch gears and some really big main panels and stuff. I have actually used this a couple of times. This is the Fluke iFlex for testing like the actual amp draw on a service entrance or something. It's pretty cool to have that ability just built into your meter. And I needed a meter that does this. It does this is the Fluke 376. It does 1,000 volts and 1,000 amps. I needed that anyway, so it was honestly to get any other meter, and it was going to cost me the same. And if I actually ever needed to do a 2500 amp, I can with this because of the iFlex. Any other iFlex compatible meter with an FC factor, which is nice to have because that means I can turn off something and put this on it and then turn it back on instead of having to put on a flash suit or something. But yeah, this thing's really awesome. And then I have it hooked up to my pair of leads. I actually change out the leads that it came with. I'm really picky about my leads and stuff. These are the TL175s. Here, let me see if I can get this to focus. Come on. Yep. These are the TL175s. These are pretty awesome because instead of having to find a cap and drop the cap and replace the cap, it just actually slides up a little collar, which is really awesome. And they just feel nice. They have the really nice silicone wire. These do too. These are the Sure Grips with the silicone wire. If you have a good meter, make sure you have a good set of leads. Anyways, guys, hope you enjoyed this. Maybe it gave you an idea. Maybe it didn't. Maybe you can give me an idea. Drop a comment, like, whatever. If you guys want to look for a really awesome YouTuber, Mike's Tool Shed's really awesome. As far as electricians go, Sparky channel's kind of cool if you're just looking for like tool reviews and stuff all the time. And then BigClive.com is a European guy who does lots of really cool little stuff with breakdowns of electronics and AVE. So most of you guys though who happen to see this random ass video on the internet though have already seen all that. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed it. Have a good one.